Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Overseas Leafs Report. I promised you a new tropical location. Here we are in the Philippines. So as you can imagine, I've been watching some Leafs games from beautiful locations. Before hitting the beach, we visited the tarsier sanctuary. These tiny little creatures are mainly nocturnal and spend most of the day in their trees. We also visited the Chocolate Hills in Bohol. Then we spent some time inside this cave that has a swimming area underneath. And of course, I give you a beautiful pan of white beach in Boracay. And it's just a bit of a shame that the product on the ice hasn't matched up with some of these beautiful locations. So as I crack open my next San Miguel, let's look back on the recent Leafs games. So the Leafs started off in Nashville, Tennessee for a game versus the Nashville Predators. Both teams are comfortably in the playoffs, so it's a good matchup given that they've got similar points and both have cup aspirations. But already midway through the first, Jake Muzzin giveaway ends up on former Leaf Brian Boyle's stick. He makes a pass, gets it back, pots it in for the first goal of the game. And then the rest of the game wasn't the most exciting to watch. I mean, both teams stayed pretty close in terms of chances and shots. I think it ended up 20-22 in the end. Leafs had their best chances in the third, but Pecorine was up to the task and made all the important saves. Ultimately missed assignment where Ozhiganov tries to defend a guy behind the net. Still not sure why he goes there. Leaves Wayne Simmons all alone in front of the net for Nashville's second goal. A couple more chances by the Leafs that didn't end up in the net. It's Nashville who gets the empty net goal. Forsberg just taps it in, and that's your 3-0 loss there. Had a lot of people say after the game that the Leafs could find some positives despite the loss. They played better defensively, but no matter what, it's a 3-0 loss. You got shut out on the road, and for a team that's been slumping, that's definitely not the kind of result you're hoping for. So I take no moral victories and expect a lot better from the Leafs moving forward. And it's not like they had a lot of time to dwell on those small victories, as they had to fly to Buffalo right away for a matchup against the Sabres on the following night. Buffalo versus Toronto usually produces some exciting games, but let's be honest, the Sabres aren't anywhere near the playoffs. So if there was an opportunity for the Leafs to bounce back, it was definitely against this team. Garrett Sparks was in nets for this one, so after calling out his team's efforts in the previous game, you're hoping for a good performance from him. And in spite of the Leafs' best offensive efforts, they just couldn't seem to solve Carter Hutton in the first. It was the Sabres who opened the scoring on the power play. Sparks didn't look as great as here, as he definitely overplayed the first shot. And the Sabres were able to capitalize on the rebound to open the scoring. Luckily, the Leafs were able to get that one right back in the second. It was a shot from Janssen from the corner. Hit Matthews' skate and ended up in the net. Not the prettiest of goals, but the way things are going for the Leafs, they'll definitely take it to tie the game up at 1. It seems like it was just going to be one of those nights for the Leafs, that in spite of all their star power up front and their capability to score goals, it was going to be a bunch of fluky ones tonight. So the second goal came off a puck that just bounced all over the place, ended up right on Tavares' stick, right up front. He gets the easy tap-in to build up a 2-1 lead. In the third period, the Leafs benefited again from a similar situation. Marner shot the puck. It kind of got stuck around players in front of the net. and then Hyman just tapped it in. 3-1 lead. Buffalo got one back to make it interesting at 3-2, but ultimately it was the Leafs that secured the win, scoring in the empty netter. Zach Hyman benefiting from a bouncing puck to bury it into the open net for his league-leading 6th empty netter of the season. The Leafs finally win this one 4-2, and I think this is a game that you can properly see as a step in the right direction. One more game to talk about as the Leafs welcome the New York Rangers at Scotiabank for the Hockey Night in Canada game. Rangers going with Georgiev one more time. It seems like they've put him in nets every single time versus the Leafs this season, and he's had good performances. Honestly, this game played out pretty similarly to the last one they had. Leafs trying their best to throw everything at Georgiev. He's making the great saves. Power play looks like it's due for a breakout, but can't capitalize. Penalty kill's doing great. It was scoreless after 2 periods of play. In the third, it was the Rangers who broke the deadlock. I think that's the 7th game in a row that the Leafs have given up the first goal. Luckily, the Leafs are able to equalize with about 11 minutes to go in the third. Tavares to Hyman finally put the Leafs on the scoreboard. That's 2 games in a row where Hyman has scored important goals. The rest of the period solved nothing, so these teams made their way to overtime. In spite of 44 shot on nets by the Leafs, it was the Rangers who were gonna leave this game with 2 points. Scored on the very first chance in overtime. Anderson made the first save, but then was kind of caught out of position as the puck made its way behind the net, and the Rangers capitalized for the 2-1 win. So with these latest performances, I think it's fair to say that it just amounts to a lot of missed opportunities. The Atlantic Division seems pretty set with Tampa first. I'm willing to give Boston second place, Leafs third. Montreal will be battling for a wild card spot. So I think it's definitely in the Metro Division that things are a lot more interesting, with teams fighting for all kinds of positions in there. For bonus footage today, I offer you a beautiful sunset, but also reveal that if you imagined you'd be the only one at the beach, think again. There's like 6,000 people there. The Twitter account hasn't changed, @Overseas Leafs. Go check that out for any updates during and after all Maple Leafs games.